Thank you again for chatting today.
Of course, it was so fun.
Definitely.
I had a great time.
Would you do me a favor? Could you?
Big marker.
Thank you so much. Could you say? Can you shout out my friend Mad Max Entertainment?
Hey, say check it out.
Oh, yes, please.
Hey, check out Mad Max Entertainment. It's awesome.
Oh my God! Thank you so much. Yes, please.
Hey, check out Mad Max Entertainment. It's awesome.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I can't help myself. Well, thank you for joining me. This is what I hope to be my solo show. Probably just an hour. So it's an hour of power, everyone. So get those comments in. Hopefully about the topic we're talking about, and we have some things to discuss. Now, I would prefer that there would be less movie madness in nerd culture. But there's a lot of movie madness going around. We have the Snydercon 3-day event, and we have some madness after. Jacob McKenzie, really? Like, why? Because that's what people are talking about. Nerdette says yes, he deserves the L, and he lied multiple times. This is what I will say. If you want me to get to the Sill thing first, I will. I like Sill. It's weird. I'm more objective than everyone gives me credit for, because I was there and I was his friend from when he started his channel. I was probably one of his first subscribers under 50, just like I love everyone. Most people around here, I've subbed, like I've been their first 50 subs, So, does he deserve an L for his scoops for Snydercon? Absolutely. He deserves to be called out for them because it didn't happen. So, I consistently have said to him that I think he should take his L's better. And that doesn't erase the quality and his entertainment value of his channel. I think he's very entertaining. I still like him, but this is not isolated to Sill either. Sill is a scooper. He's in the scoop game. Why does he get so much heat on him? Because the majority of scoopers are anonymous on Twitter. And even Mikey, even though he's just an icon, you see his image. So that's why they get so much heat. And where I think it's kind of weird is the majority of people in the industry that have the most problems with them are scoopers or scoopers adjacent, that, like, for example, in the recent call out, there was mentions of accounts My Time to Shine, Hello, and Viewer Anon. They also get things wrong, and they also do not like to admit when they're wrong, just like Grace Randolph. So, I say that he deserves criticism. It's valid criticism. He didn't get it right. I think the whole scooper, I know what scooping is. My expectations are in check. I realize what it is. You cannot be right 100% of the time if you're a scooper. And how you handle when you're wrong really is going to help you improve in the future. So, whether he wants my advice or not, I think he should have handled this specific scenario better. I think he should have handled it better and be like, yeah, I heard some things. I guess it didn't happen, but it was a great event. And then everyone would have moved on. Everyone wouldn't have moved on, but it would have been better. Instead, he kind of overly criticized the person at, Twitter, people on Twitter asking him the question, even his own fans, I think, suggesting that they might not be truthful. And I think that was a bad look. And I would honestly say, Sill, whether you want my advice or not, just accept the L and move on. And, don't overly criticize those that, because you're going to be criticized on your scoops and just say, well, I was hearing some things. We didn't get an announcement, but it was a great event. It's as simple as that. Don't over-explain it. It makes you sound worse. Like, oh, that's my honest advice. So I do think. Yeah, so I don't think he handled it great. Does that mean he needs canceled? No. I think this is a criticism of all scoopers, including those that really criticize him over, like Casey Walsh, Viewer Anon, My Time to Shine Hello. They all get things wrong. Grace Randolph gets things wrong, and she doesn't admit it either. They get things right too. Let's just be honest about the scoop game altogether. And then there'll be less conflicts, I think, if we're just really honest with everyone. And maybe admit to themselves, okay, oh, well, things change. I guess it didn't happen. You hear whispers of things that could happen. Maybe it didn't come to fruition, Now, with the Skywalker situation, I do have some receipts there, and it will be up to, because there was, oh my God, that's a whole nother can of beans. Please thumbs up the video. Grace Randolph no, she's not always wrong, Crazy Joe. She's not. See, I'm very fair, Nerdette. I'm very fair. And I think where Sil takes it too personally is because a lot of criticism comes. This is why he said in his tweet that he wanted everyone that had an issue with him to get on camera. He asked for, whether you think it's fair or not, he asked for My Time to Shine Hello and Viewer Anon to get on camera, and he would agree. Now, you might think that's a ridiculous request because their anonymity is how they escape some of the heat too. What happens if Viewer Anon or My Time to Shine Hello is wrong? Well, they make another tweet. That's it. So I think that's why, but he is doing things different. He's got a YouTube channel that's like a complaint desk where you can always get this, where the other scoopers do not. For example, Casey Walsh, he's on Twitter. Too much, I might add. Way too much on Twitter. Horrible Twitter behavior. And he doesn't have a show where people could come to the complaint desk and check him, So when you have that type of platform, it's going to happen. It's sad. If they really thought it's coming, they wouldn't need to ask over and over and decipher every tweet. So leads, oh yeah, it's happening. Honestly, feel bad for them. Leave them be. Well, see, this is why I used to have a series called Scoop Wars, because the scoop game is very volatile and there's factions. Imagine that, just like fandom, Nerdette. There's factions of scoopers, and some of the most extreme ones are Casey Walsh, Viewer Anon, My Time to Shine Hello, and they really dislike each other because they have different sources, and they're like, oh, I wasn't told that. And they're competition, honestly. So besides getting into everyone involved, because I don't want to, I will say that part of those complaints come from actual scoopers themselves towards Sil. So it's kind of like, hold up a mirror. I'm like, really? Really? You're going to call me out, but you're not even, you're anonymous? Whatever. That's all. Yes. Crazy Joe. See, there's people that absolutely cannot stand scooping in general, which I understand. If you like scooping, know what it is, and realize that the industry there's no way you could be 100% of the time. And there's no way you could be 100, and people aren't 100% wrong all the time either. This is where you get both sides. Like, both sides are unreasonable. It's somewhere in the middle. I'd say 50-50 to be fair. 50-50. And then the industry changes. They're all always wrong. When they get something right, it's dumb luck. Throw shit against the wall, and statistically speaking, something is bound to stick. I don't think it's really not hard to get a source. People in the industry talk. There's gossiping all over the place, you know. All right, so now let's get to, I believe I have it time stamped. Let me see. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me see. I thought I had the right time. I got to bring up Skywalker's. Now, the Skywalker thing, in my personal subjective opinion, I think it's BS. I don't think he stole it, because I also saw, now I wasn't there, but I saw lots of videos, and I have a cert from Lady Genevieve has a good audio right in front of Zach and the rest. So you could kind of hear who they were trying to call on. And I think it kind of absolves him from being the BS that's happening to him right now. All right, so let's get to this here. Hold on, let me see.
Being like, yo, they got so much, they so good. I love it. Yo, but we're gonna get to the first topic of the day, man. This crazy. We almost half an hour in, and we ain't even got to the first topic. That's how you know. Man, hold up. Let me go ahead and get people to drop real quick, man. Y'all are killing it.
Oh, wait.
Now, right now, you know what I'm saying? Engaging with Netflix, which is the current home.
Hey.
Within the first hour, bro, I already met Zach and Debbie.
Oh man, I wrote down the wrong timestamp. Damn it. All right, let me see if this other one, 113, I had, because he addresses the criticism that he stole a question.
I mean, once I saw that, for like, holy shit, this is awesome. Okay.
All right, let's just get to the other video, because I already effed it up. All right, because I do have the correct timestamp there. Basically, there's accusations that Skywalker took someone else's chance for a question. But I have a different angle where you could judge for yourself, thanks to Lady Genevieve. And you could see that they were trying to call on Skywalker, including Ray Fisher saying the guy in the Superman suit. Everyone calm down across the board is my suggestion and my recommendation. But what do I know? But here, let me bring this up here. This is right before Skywalker gets called on. And I'll bring that up here. And I should also thumbs up per video as well. Okay. Let me see what the chat is saying here. I'm just watching right now. Up to this point, I respect how measured and balanced you are. So you are, as far as you speak on. I don't know the particulars, but I don't really follow full circle scoops and draw. Well, here's the thing. I didn't really put a lot of. I was hoping there would be some type of announcement, but I wasn't expecting much. But there was zero announcement. At the end. And, you know. All right, so this should be right before I'm turning up the volume so you could see for yourself. And I don't believe that Skywalker took someone else's opportunity. And you'll be able to get a closer look at Zach, Ray, Ben, Chris, Terrio, and these other two people about who they were trying to call on. And you'll hear that they couldn't get a mic over there and that they only had a few mics in the audience is another There's some more receipts here. Okay, so let's start.
Oh dear. How loud can you be? What's going on? Raise your hand up in the air. You have a hand in the air? Yes, sir. There's a microphone nearby.
Oh, see? Did you hear that? That's a black Superman. All right, so let's try to hear this again. So they couldn't get the mic over there fast enough, and then they were discussing, can you speak loud enough without the mic? So they were all looking over there. Here we go. Let's try that one more time.
I always get the sense of Chris that the pod is sort of if the screenwriter is the camper of the break-ins, the house, the pod is sort of the meat that's sort of just a guardrails, all the thieves kind of work their way, break their way into the window.
Ben is really hard to understand on that. He's got a bit bassy voice. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
Way back yonder, black t-shirt. Third row in. This is like.
Now, they originally say a black t-shirt because it's hard to see back there. It's hard to see back there. Okay. So let's.
What is this going on? Raise your hand up in the air. Yes, sir.
I want the great big symbolism on the shirt. That's all I could see.
There's a microphone nearby.
And then Ray says that's a black Superman. So it sounds like that's who they intended to call on. Ray's like, hey, that's a black Superman. That's not a symbol. That's a black Superman. You know, because they could, it was in the, I'm assuming that it was dark over there. And he's like, oh, hey, that's a black Superman, you know? All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, that is him. And he kind of goes like, oh, because he took pictures of him in the auditorium as Black Superman. He's like, oh yeah, that is him. That's my interpretation, at least. Here we go. We need a laser pointer to get, you know.
Raise your hand up in the air. Yes, sir. There's a microphone nearby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Is there a mic over there? Oh dear. How loud can you be?
It's just super. Oh, he said, see, and then Zach kind of like even corrects Ray. He's like, no, it's just Superman. You don't call him Black Superman. It's just Superman. That's what he said. CGH sent Bent his old mic. Yeah. I was hoping for 4 announcements too, but I don't want to hold my breath. Not a big fan on how Snyderverse fans present themselves or push the campaign. Got way too negative. I support the cut. I feel like overall this specific campaign, the Cell movement, has been trying to steer positive, in my opinion, but that's subjective. Some people think even asking, some people believe in their own opinions that even asking for a continuance is toxic or negative. So I don't believe that. But we'll also get to Zach's response as well, which I think we need to stop. I believe we need to stop putting our opinions onto Zach and let the man speak for himself. Because if you honestly just let him speak for himself, you'll see that he is interested in some type of continuation. So that, to me, justifies people trying. You could fail, but he would love to do it. Absolutely. I support all hashtags as long as you're not toxic. You know, I support the Batgirl movement and I support Star Trek Legacy as well. All right, so now let's hear.
All right.
And now he's saying, can you hear me in the back? Because they were having trouble. I believe, at least, I'll be careful. I believe they were having trouble getting the mics around in the back there. And he said, well, can you speak without a mic? And he's like, yes. Am I loud enough? Can you hear me in the back? Because he was shouting out, you know. He didn't need a mic, even though they couldn't get to him fast enough.
This question is for Zack Snyder. Zack, my name's Skywalker Jedi. I've been on a little bit of the hero's journey myself doing the project, right? Seeing this thing here is truly a moment that has brought this entire new sale campaign into a full circle moment, if you will. My question for you, sir, is would you be overjoyed if your stories were able to continue in any form, even if it was on a third party outside of WBD?
Now, before we get to his response, I would like to say I think it's ridiculous. I'm not going to gatekeep and tell people they're not Snyder fans if they don't want that question answered. But I think it's ridiculous for people to clutch their pearls when he basically asks what everyone really wants to know. He asks what really people want to know. Would you continue? And I mean, I guess I could be wrong if you're a Snyder fan and you don't want to know that. But honestly, what Snyder fan would not want to know if Zack Snyder still in 2023 wants to continue? That's even if you think it's possible or not. And you'll hear the response from Zack in a second that he says that's a fair question. I think we're kidding ourselves if we don't think that, if we're saying that we don't think that's an appropriate question. And you know what? Let the man speak for himself. And this is what you'll see. I'll put it full screen so you can hear the words for yourself.
Listen, that's a good question. I mean,
That's a good question. Now, don't impose. I would ask that you not impose your own biases against certain individuals and consider yourself a Snyder fan and ask, would you really not want that question answered? I don't know if I would specifically ask it. You know what my question was going to be if I was in the auditorium? I was going to ask if he ever came back to superhero movies, would he prefer to work with an established IP or create his own superhero universe? That's what my question would be. But honestly, can you honestly say that you would not want that question answered? Now, if there's any other questions in the chat asking if you think he still stole someone else's chance for a question, I guess that's subjective. I don't believe it. I wasn't there personally, but I've watched this from multiple angles. And as far as I could tell, they were discussing what the symbol is on his shirt. And then Ray Fisher said, that's a black Superman. And then Zach, being too PC, maybe, he says, no, that's not a black Superman. That's just Superman. You know, because he thinks anyone can be Superman, I guess, in today's age. Because he is somewhat progressive, I believe, at least. But saying, you know, that you would not want that answered or that's a dumb question. And actually, someone in the audience behind this person filming was throwing shade on the question too. And I'm like, really? Aren't you being disingenuous? And I subjectively think that people don't like the question because of who it came from, is my viewpoint. But that's a question that a lot of us would want to answer. That's the most exciting question of this Q&A part. Now, there were some cool questions on the BVS watch party from our good friend Rhea that I started watching. But during this part of the Q&A, that was the most interesting question to me as a Snyder fan. Would you still, after all this, Now I don't know if I would phrase it like that, but after everything he's gone through, would you still be interested in developing some type of continuation? And then there's other that you really could tell people. You could tell some people's motivations online that say, no, the hashtag should be animate the Snyderverse. But it's really just any continuation is what he asked. Any continuation. Let me see. What do you say to Snyder will not deny a paying customer pushback? Snyder will never say no, leaving the fan base dangling and needing to do that. Everything is a sign meme. I've said I think I love Zach, but I think he's too vague sometimes of what things are going to be, and it can give people false hope in itself, these announcements of events. But him saying I would love to do it crushes the narrative of he'll never say no to a paying customer for me personally. Him saying I would love to is different than I would do it. He said, in the context of his answer, he says that, let me make sure I timestamp this too. Zach says, I put a lot of work even into the future, and any time of continuation, that would be amazing. I would love it. So I believe that I'm not imposing my own biases onto that answer. I'm taking him for his word and not conflating it with my own personal opinions of where Zach's mental space is. He says, I would love to do it. And then we'll react to that right now. Okay. Let's hear what he says. Take him for his word. Don't impose what we believe of him onto him. Do you respect the man enough to just take him on his word and say that's a good question? Instead of imposing, well, he was being nice. You don't know that. Do you know what's in his inner workings of his mind? No.
Fair and it's exciting and look, I love the world.
I love the world. Let's really break this down. I love the world.
Obviously, I not put a small amount of effort into this mythology, and we have done not also a small amount of work.
And he's saying it's not even been a small amount of work that he's put into the continuing it too. So he knows where he would go. And the other context of this whole event is he says, I don't want to spoil it. That to me does not mean that it's going to continue, but his heart can't take spoiling it just in case. That's my interpretation. It's subjective, right? This is all subjective. But my interpretation of that, of him saying, them asking, well, what would you do? He's like, I don't want to spoil it. That doesn't mean there's something that's going to happen. It means that he's still holding on himself to maybe he'll get to complete it. Now, the hurdles may be too high, but until he spills the beans on where he would have gone and him saying that he would love to do it, I'm kind of thinking he's still holding out something himself. And the door is like, just a crack open to him actually telling that story. Because if the door was completely closed, I think he would just tell you. Well, this is what we're going to do. Not, I don't want to spoil it for you. And maybe he puts a treatment in as a book where I would have gone and he doesn't want to spoil it there. Maybe it's animation. Maybe nothing ever comes out ever, but he needs more time to lapse before he tells you what he would have done. Till he knows for sure, All right, here we go.
Toward what the eventualities of these scenarios might be. As far as, I've had an amazingly, this is my experience with you guys, and with this material has been incredibly satisfying, and I couldn't be happier with the way that you guys have been able to dig in. You know, we always talk about, like, if you want to go deep on these movies and on this mythology, it's there, right? And so, yes, would I be interested in whatever medium or whatever way these ideas would get you? Of course I would.
Yes. That's all. I mean, that's all we really need. That's all you really need to debunk this part. Where were you, Perp? That he wouldn't say no to a paying customer. He said, in no small part, I put a lot of work into the future to dive deep. And he said, in any medium, would I be interested? Yes, absolutely. Okay. But then he also said, I am focusing on my other stuff. And he did kind of distance. I will be honest with you, though, because I do have some cell viewers in the chat right now. I will be honest with you. He did kind of distance himself from the movement, too, and be like, I am focusing on other things right now. But he did also say that the fans have their own ideas. And they tend to get things done. I don't know the exact verbiage. I don't have that clip ready. But I'm going to play this again just for emphasis, the man's words alone. Let me see here. And I honestly think if it was exactly closure, that he wouldn't have said this, and this would have been the story that everyone would have been running headlines. Here's my opinion. Okay. If he shut it down right there when he could have, how many articles and how many live streams and videos would be there that Zach finally closes the door? It's all down to interpretation, but to me, it's more clear than to most, okay? He won't tell you what he's going to do in the future because he doesn't want to spoil it. And he said he would love to do it and try not to impose your feelings about the situation onto him. Yes. Yeah, please be civil. But let's repeat this for him, to really go deep on it again and take the man on his word. There's no reason to question that he's not being genuine or he's just telling you what you want to hear. And if he had a problem with the question, we shouldn't impose what we think on the question. He said that's a fair question. That's a fair question. And I call bullshit on anyone else that doesn't want to know the answer to that. Maybe you want someone else to ask the question, not the person that did, is my interpretation. Because of your own feelings. This is your own feelings. Okay?
That, you guys have been able to dig in. We always talk about, like, if you want to go deep on these movies and on this mythology, it's there, right? And so, yes, would I be interested in whatever medium or whatever way these ideas would get you? Of course I would.
Of course I would. And then he got a cheer. So I don't know why then he got cheers in the crowd. So I don't know why everyone's upset about it afterwards. I don't, in retrospect, because he got a cheer. Of course I would. So if people cheered, that means that's what they wanted to hear too. Yeah. The whole stolen question thing is a nothing burger. No need to indulge. Yeah, I feel for listen, I also understand that people didn't get the answer, didn't get to ask questions. I feel for you. They only had an hour. Mario was going to be shown. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, and in the meantime, we forge ahead. We do what we do.
In the meantime, though, that's where I say, I would say yes, he's left the door open, but hold your horses, because in the meantime, we're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to do what we're going to do. We're moving on. We're not going to. I think here's my personal reaction to this is the door's open. He would love to do it, but he's also in the same breath. Well, he maybe took a breath before that. He said, but we're going to do what we're going to do and move and keep rolling. He's not going to wait for that to happen, though. He's going to be actively developing things, you know. All right. Let me see. It's not closure, but it's also he's busy with other stuff right now. Rebel Moon, Army of the Dead franchise. Yes. And Retro Nerd Girl, I would love to have you on the show sometime to talk about Star Wars and retro cartoons, which I've seen on your channel. If you're open for it, I would love to have you on the channel sometime. I heard this, El Necron, and I don't want to minimize my own shout out either, but I think, you know, to my shout out and Sills, he's kind of just like, yeah, check it out. That doesn't necessarily mean that he specifically knows the channel, in my opinion, to be fair. Not to diminish Sills' shout out or my shout out, but I honestly don't think, even though it was amazing and cool, I think he did that because Rhea is such a cool person and she had a great interview. And he's like, sure, check it out. Check it out. Awesome. Awesome. Stay tuned. Is like a general pumping up and hype man for the channels because he knows they're a fan. But does that specifically mean that he knows exactly their channel or my channel? It's possible. I don't know. I would say more possible on Sills' part than me because I cover lots of movie talk where Sill is very Snyder and DC focused. So I would think the higher probability of him knowing a channel is Sills, but I don't think love the channel, stay tuned necessarily means that he knows exactly his channel was. He's also very busy. Keep that in mind. He's busy developing stuff, you know. Hey, I'm not going to argue with you. It's no argument whatsoever. I think it could be as simple as him just being a hype man for a fan that he knows has a channel. All right. So now the other thing I'm sorry to Skywalker because I thought I had the timestamps ready for his video that I wanted to check. That's right after this is whether Ben Affleck also said he would be down for some continuation. And honestly, I don't think he has. He was talking positively about the experience, and it's also hard to hear Ben. I'm here to just leave a like and not crap on anyone's good time. Absolutely. All right. Hype for Rebel Moon. I'd rather him expand the universe instead of holding on. Well, that boy, it doesn't have to be exclusive to one thing. He could do both. Again, don't impose what you think onto him. Don't you think he's capable of developing two things at once? It's not one or the other. Like there's this straw man argument that says people that want there could be a continuation of the Snyderverse don't give enough respect to Rebel Moon or his other projects. And I guess it's a case-by-case basis, but that's not necessarily true. I see a lot of love for his new projects too, and I don't want to impose what you think he's capable of onto him. He might be capable of way more than you ever would imagine of developing two projects at once. And if he said, I'm still interested in any medium to continue, I'm going to take him on his word. But there's this weird straw man that says, oh, if you ask for the future to continue, that you're not wanting to see Rebel Moon and him develop other projects. And that's not true. It's not true. I know most Snyder fans I talk to that want a continuation and to sell also want to see Rebel Moon. Also want to see Army of the Dead. Would probably buy all that shit. So it's not accurate. Debunked. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. And you don't know. You don't know. If you're just getting here, smash that like button. Don't worry, Brian. We'll do regular movie talk later. Movie Madness is a solo stream series that I go on for an hour. And then MME Live is the panel stream. All right. So let's get to this part where Ben Affleck.
And so, like that, yes. And if you
Said yes twice. He said yes twice. But yes. Yes. That's a fair question, and yes. No, we're not, Brian. That's why I'm doing it now. We're not. Personally, I don't want to pressure Netflix to tease Rebel Moon and mess up the film's response. I'd rather Zach take his time with Rebel Moon in peace. Yeah, all right.
But I love this world, and I love these guys.
I love this world, love these guys.
That I've gotten to do this with, and it's been amazing. So thank you.
He's not hiding, or he's looking right at the crowd. He's not. I don't think he's tortured to answer that question by any means. He's not. He answered his own free will. He said a fine response. Chill out, everyone. Chill out. All right, now let's get to Ben Affleck.
They're jumping up and down. Yet
Oh, no, he's like, I got a good question.
there is a mic down here. Come down. I got a good question. As opposed to what?
I have one question, and Ben Affleck is the greatest Batman ever. What was the plan for Batman?
This is another cool question. Deadshot. What was the plan for Batfleck?
There was a whole elaborate plan, which would take up too much time now, and some of which I get for. But
I have a really hard time understanding him. He says deep voice on this mic.
I always like that character and talk to Zach, and I think there's my plan for continuing on this character. A certain point I got to and kind of found.
My plan for I think that's where my plan for continuing on, but that doesn't mean it's his current plan. I think you have to correct that part. What would it have been? Where Zach says, I don't want to spoil anything. Ben just says my plan was to continue on this. Like, he's kind of closed already, Well, they're sharing the same mic, Perp, so I don't know.
That I thought it wasn't really, I just felt like, well, I wasn't quite sure if it worked a good job. I felt like if you have a character like this and kind of take that on, you want to go forward, you better really be sure and understand it and be confident. And I think certainly as a director, you kind of have to be the last person interested in the movie when everyone else is really bored. Because watching it, it's sick and exhausted by the whole process. And I have held myself to this kind of metric where if I'm not really sure I see the precise location and target that I want to hit, I'm not sure I can hit it, but I want to at least know exactly what I'm aiming for.
Okay, that's also revealing as to why he might not want to have continued with Gunn. He said for him to be interested, he has to at least have a pretty good target of where it's going. So I don't know if Gunn painted that picture for him. Where the Gunverse is heading, and at least know where in the area of where it's going for him to commit. That's also my interpretation. But Ben Affleck, where it's heading, he needs to know where about you're going with the character for him to aim for it. And I don't know if James Gunn painted that picture to him, or or at least he needs it painted for him before it's presented to him, you know?
There's, as all of you have tried to mention, there's a spectacular array of characters in this universe, and also I think, they are ultimately like, I know that we sort of become like attached to them as exist in these particular forms, but I think watching Zach's stuff and whatever he does, I find interesting and grows kind of manifestation of his work and time with Chris. You see people's, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be wearing one face to tell an interesting story. There are certainly, response to this gentleman's question, there are a lot of different ways to do that. And,
Okay, so he did actually suggest to this gentleman over here, he's talking about Skywalker again in the Superman suit. There's many different ways to tell that, but he's not necessarily saying that he would be open for it. He's just saying there's different ways to tell it. There's different ways to tell the continuation,
So I don't get too wrapped up in like fixated on that one thing, or at least that's what I assume myself.
Okay. So if you want to check out the full video, I guess I'll subscribe too. Whoa, 21K. Lady Genevieve. The whole video is in the description. You could decide for yourself. I thought there should be more context to some of the situations there. I was going to do a reaction to the writer's strike with Grace Randolph, but we're almost approaching the hour. I only have like 13 minutes left. So if anyone has any other questions, I would also like to play just a little bit of our pal Rhea interview with Zach, where she let me rewind it a little bit. She did an amazing job. Her and her friend, I forget her friend's name, her little brother, but not actually her real little brother. And that's also in the description, along with Skywalker's video. Okay, so let me bring this up here. This finally came out on Vero today. Batman v Superman Ultimate Watch Party Q&A with Zack Snyder and guests. And the question, I didn't watch all of it yet, but the question I really liked that Rhea said was talking about the origins of Batman in Batman v Superman and how he's like ascending with the bats. And is that like literal, or is it in his mind, or a combination of both? Very intelligent questions, and I love his responses. So let's just watch a few minutes there, and then I'll get ready for tonight.
It's there giving you advice that's pretty responsive to the moment. So it is surreal in some ways, I think. And this, this sequence with, especially the opening sequence with Bruce, and then everything Bruce is going through with, whether it be the, when he, the metaphor is that.
Okay, here we go.
That was, sorry, we had a delay.
Oh no, you're all good. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Like, although there are a lot of beats that are iconic to a lot of different perceptions of this scene, like you want it to visualize it in a way that takes notes from what's been done before and imagined before, but also put your own spin on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the first one I've seen in stop motion.
Yeah.
Where I love like how it opens up, and there's like Bruce is kind of like, it opens up and he's talking about like there's a theme of falling. And I love how even the music, like if you write out the notes are falling. It's,
this notion of kind of using the music to parallel this. Also, there's this kind of repetitious sort of theme to the music, which I thought was like, it's almost like this unescapable destiny that there was this inevitable course for Bruce that was sort of unescapable. And I think the music really does a great job to sort of give you that sort of destiny feeling as well.
And now the notes rise as he's rising.
What's that?
The notes are rising as he's rising.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I noticed, like, as I was rewatching BVS and rewatching Man of Steel yesterday, was the sort of like this metaphysical, I guess, occurrence within Clark and Bruce, where it's very much like unclear, like if it's like directly impacting them in reality, or if it's something that is occurring mentally that is not like being communicated to anyone else outside of themselves. And I wanted to like understand more around like,
yeah, like whether or not he really floated up or not.
Right.
Like what, you know.
Yeah, that's great.
A metaphor is that.
And like when Clark was like experiencing those outer body like sort of stimuli impacting him physically, I would imagine that was like actually like happening in the moment. But like this, for example, is this?
Yeah, I think there's a way to visualize that. Sort of
I see. I think she really challenged him with some really interesting questions. I gotta watch all. I don't know how long she's on. Oh, there's like, I guess it switches it up.
Conceptually, you know, can we get with Clark? It was an attempt to get into his head and know what it is. You know, you think like we were talking a little bit about it yesterday, that like, oh, this guy's a god, so to him nothing would be hard. You know, he's Superman. What's hard about being Superman? And that's why I felt like it was cool to try and get in his head and see what he sees a little bit, as far as like, you know, with his teacher and, you know, the sounds and all that stuff, you know. But with this, and there are points in that movie where I do believe.
Well, definitely check it out. It's up now on Vero True Social. And I left who are these amazing movie pundits? They gave great commentary. Go check it out. I think there's a future. There's a future with some of our friends to be great movie commentators and interviewers. Really good talent. That's you know what? It doesn't have to be an exact hour. That's where probably I will end this stream. Any other questions? I do want to reach out to more people. El Necron, I've been wanting to talk to you about some music with my pal Brian. I know you're a musician. And Retro Nerd Girl headed off to work. Go check out Retro Nerd Girl as well in El Necron. Some cool people that I'd love to talk to and collaborate with, but I don't want to pressure them either, but definitely check them out. And I was like in awe of some of El Necron's heavy metal streams. Yeah, get El Necron on. Yes, as a musician. And I really look forward to the future. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Follow us on our journey here at MME, where I want to do solo streams and panel streams. And hopefully we cover, I'm not sure if every solo stream is going to be movie madness, but there is a lot of movie madness out there. Oh, what the hell? There is movie madness out there, and I will cover it, and I'll try to be fair and balanced and not too emotional. Yes, the Witching Hour. That's what it is. Yes, Brucifer, you'd probably want to be on that too. Definitely. I'm going to have to message you, man. I will see you all later. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.